So in the world out there, people view equality as some kind of virtue, as some kind of good thing that should be pursued. But the fact is that we're not equal. We're all different. We all have different abilities, different skills, different motivations, different moral characters. And therefore, it would be strange, it would be bizarre if the outcomes were all the same. To fight for equality, equality of outcome, equality of results, is to fight against nature. It's to fight against the metaphysical nature of human beings. We're all different and therefore unequal. The only way, therefore, to achieve equality, it's unachievable, but the only way to approach achieving equality is by destroying ability. It's by lowering everybody to the lowest common denominator. It's by knocking down anybody who is particularly successful or particularly able or particularly smart or particularly motivated. So I can't think of a more evil idea than to destroy the able, because they're able to turn people who work hard into the victims because they're working hard, to take from those who create because they create. So the whole idea of egalitarianism, the whole idea of equality of outcome is fundamentally anti-human life, fundamentally anti-human ability, and incredibly destructive to human society and to human survival. So the only equality that makes any sense, the only equality that is justifiable to strive towards, is political equality. It means political equality of rights, equality of liberty. We're all born equal in the sense that we're all free. Every one of us is free, whether you're born to a rich family, a poor family, a so-called aristocratic family, a simple family. Everybody is born with the right to life, liberty, property, and the pursuit of happiness. And that is the kind of equality that we must emphasize and fight for, and it's crucial. But that is the equality that allows us, that leaves us to be free and express our personality, our character, our ability, our intelligence. So political equality, political freedom actually leads to economic inequality. Economic equality, you have to destroy political equality. So you have to choose political equality or economic equality. And the only one of those two options, which is pro-life, pro-individual human life, is political equality. So fairness fundamentally is getting what you deserve. Fairness is justice. It's treating people the way they deserve, which means that if you create a lot of value and you gain that value, it's fair for you to keep that value because you created it. If you're lazy, let's say, and you don't work hard, it's fair that you have less than the person who worked hard or the person who created a lot of value. So fairness is getting what you deserve, and in economics, we measure desert based on the value you create. And the value you create is measured in terms of the dollars, in terms of the income, in terms of the profit that you produce. So it's fair to have inequality because inequality is a reflection of the fact that we produce different amounts. So in my view, the only moral way to guide our decisions and choices in life is by the principle of egoism. When we say to make choices in life, to guide our life, the question has to be for what purpose? For whose benefit? And traditional morality says when you make choices in life, you should pursue the benefit of others. And Ayn Rand asks a simple question. Why? Why are others more important than me? I mean, I'm here, I'm alive, and I'm me. Why am I not more important than other people? And I, as an individual, don't know what is good and what is bad instinctually. I'm not programmed to survive. I'm not programmed to thrive. I'm not programmed to make the right decisions. So morality is my guide. Morality is my system for determining what is good and what is bad. For the purpose of what? Well, for the purpose of my survival. for the purpose of my life, of my flourishing, of my thriving, and ultimately for the purpose of my happiness. So why should I live for other people? My life is sacred to me. My life is all I have, in a sense. Once I give up my life, no other values matter. So if I care about anything, I have to start by caring about myself. So morality is about defining clearly the values and virtues that lead to an individual's successful life, to an individual's survival and ultimately thriving. So a free market revolution is really a revolution for freedom. It's a revolution for unleashing the entrepreneurial spirit, unleashing individual initiative, unleashing individual choice and individual ability. But freedom is rare in human history. We have lots of revolutions for all kinds of causes, for all kinds of collectivist ideals. But there's only been one revolution for freedom, one revolution for the individual and individualism, and that was the American Revolution. The American Revolution was, in a sense, a free market revolution, even though they wouldn't think of it in those terms. But it was a revolution for freedom. It was a revolution to unleash the ability and the spirit of the individual. They didn't think of it necessarily in economic terms because it's before the Industrial Revolution, it's before really capitalism. But they thought of it in terms of individual liberty, individual freedom, and individual rights. And that's what a free market revolution really is. It's to recognize the rights of the individual, the right to life, liberty, property, and the pursuit of happiness. To create a society in which individuals can pursue their own happiness free of coercion, free of government intervention, free of force, free of the authority. That authority could be government, that authority could be the church, but free of the ability of the authorities to dictate to you and to determine your fate. And those revolutions are very, very rare because the idealism, sadly, has always been and continues to be, I think, mostly on the side of the collectivists. The collectivists are the ones who have an ideal that are willing to fight for, and it's time for us individualists. It's time for us who care about our own life and who care about our own liberty and care about our own freedom. It's time for us to understand that freedom is going to depend on our willingness to fight for that freedom. And that's the revolution that's necessary. It's a revolution to recognize the rights of the individual and institute a system of government that protects those rights. I think really the most fundamental ideas are the same ideas that were promoted during the Enlightenment that ultimately led to the United States of America and to the freeing up of much of the Western world. But today, because I think of Ayn Rand, these ideas are much better grounded and much better foundations. And there are really two fundamental ideas that we need to fight for. And you won't typically hear this from free market economists because this is kind of deeper than economics. The two ideas are one, are reason. Reason is man's means of knowing the world. It's a way of discovering truth. It's the way in which we can understand what is right and what is wrong, what is good and what is bad, what works and what doesn't work. It gives us science, but it gives us really all human values ultimately come from the human mind. It comes from our rational thinking. It comes from our capacity to reason. And we need to recognize that and enshrine that. So one is the efficacy of reason, the importance of reason. Reason as human beings' basic means of survival. We survive by using our mind, by thinking. The second is that the only entity that can reason is the individual. And therefore the individual's life is what we should be focused on. Individual's liberty, individual's freedom to make choices based on his reason in pursuit of his own happiness. It's the value of the individual above all else politically. And that any political entity is there basically to protect the rights of the individual to make his own judgments in pursuit of his own values, determined by the use of his own reason. So that is what politics is for. It's to protect our reason. It's to protect our ability to think and act on our thinking as individuals. That is how we should conceive the battle. The battle is a battle to preserve judgment, to preserve choices, to preserve our ability to think and then to act on those thoughts. And so it's a philosophical battle. It's a deeply philosophical battle. It's in a sense epistemological. That's what reason is. Reason over faith, reason over emotion, reason over whim. And it's a moral battle. It's the individual, it's his own happiness, it's egoism versus sacrifice to others versus asking others to sacrifice for you. It's every individual as an independent entity whose life is his primary purpose, his survival and thriving is the primary purpose. It's the universality of the idea of egoism. And that politics is just a way to allow people, again, to use their mind, to live their life in pursuit of their values, ultimately in pursuit of their happiness. If you get that, then you get freedom, then you get capitalism, then you get everything else, then you get free markets.